The Carver of Forms. Elias was a man who carved life from stone. In his studio, dust danced in the slivers of light, settling on perfect, cold forms. He loved his creations more than the wife who inspired them, for the stone, unlike Lenore, never disobeyed. One evening, Lenore brought a shadow into his pristine world. A cat, black as a forgotten sin, with eyes like chips of emerald. "He followed me home," she whispered, cradling the creature. Elias saw only a smear of imperfection, a flaw in his perfect design. But the cat, Onyx, adored him. It would wind around his legs, its purr a constant, grating vibration. This unsolicited affection was a mockery to Elias. It was a wild, untamable thing, and he began to despise it with the same passion he reserved for a flawed piece of marble. The madness, fed by wine and pride, finally took hold. One night, when the cat tripped him, he saw not a pet, but a deliberate challenge to his mastery. He seized a mallet from his workbench. A sickening crack echoed in the silent studio. Lenore found Onyx huddled and broken. The look she gave Elias was no longer one of love, but of terror. She saw the monster he had carved within himself, and her fear was a chisel, chipping away the last of her affection. The cat survived, but it was changed. It now limped, a three-legged specter that haunted the corners of his home. Its emerald eyes, once full of adoration, now held a constant, silent accusation. Every limping step was an echo of the mallet's crack, a rhythm of his guilt. His rage, once directed at the cat, now sought a new vessel. As he raised his hand to strike the limping beast again, Lenore threw herself between them. "No more, Elias," she cried. In that moment, his fury, blind and absolute, turned from the animal to the woman. The deed was done. Silence fell, heavier than any stone. With the frantic energy of a madman, he hollowed out a space in the studio wall, a new, grotesque sculpture of brick and mortar. He entombed his wife and his secret within the cold, dark plaster. When the authorities came, Elias was a portrait of calm grief. He led them through every room, his confidence swelling with each undisturbed corner. He even brought them to the studio, the very tomb of his crime. "Solidly built," he boasted, and tapped his cane upon the wall. And then, from the heart of the stone, came a sound. It was not a moan, nor a cry, but a triumphant, demonic howl. The police turned from Elias to the wall, whose face had become a mask of pure terror. He had not walled up one body, but two. An officer took a heavy tool and struck the wall. The plaster cracked. From the newly made cavern, the howl rose again. As the opening widened, a single, baleful green eye gleamed from the darkness. Onyx, the three-legged cat, sat perched atop Lenore's head, its gaze fixed on Elias. It had been his accuser, and now it was his judge. The officers pulled Elias to his feet. The fight had gone out of him, replaced by a hollow-eyed vacancy. As they led him from the studio, his gaze fell upon his perfect statues, their cold marble faces seeming to mock him. In the stark confines of his cell, there was no stone to shape. There was only the suffocating silence and the memory of a single, glowing emerald eye. It burned in the darkness behind his eyelids, a constant, unblinking sentinel. The courtroom was a theater of judgment, but Elias was a spectator to his own fate. He listened, detached, as the tail of the cat, the small creature he had so despised, became the cornerstone of the case against him. The verdict was guilty. On death row, he was not alone. He began to see Onyx in the shifting shadows, a three-legged silhouette that limped just at the edge of his vision. He would hear a faint purr, a ghostly vibration in the stone walls. On his last night, the specter grew bold. Elias awoke with a crushing weight on his chest. Onyx was there, no longer a shadow but a solid, purring form. Its emerald eyes, inches from his own, held a calm finality. The purr deepened, a suffocating rumble that stole the air from his lungs. The morning light brought the guards, but not the gallows. They found Elias cold and still, his eyes wide open and fixed on the ceiling in a final, silent scream. And there, upon the pale skin of his throat, were the faintest of marks, as if a small creature had kneaded its claws there in its final deadly affection.